Hey everyone, so we're at Thirst in Viva City Mega Mall. So today we're gonna de-stress and get some sugar in our body. So we're gonna try to attempt to make a drink. So let's go ahead.
Alright, let's go.
Are you excited?
Yeah. Excited to get some sugar in my
your
body.
Okay. Start. So who's gonna be our judge? You're gonna be our judge, right? Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Sebastian. So I'm one of the barista at Thirst. So today I'm going to teach them on how to make a few of our drinks. So yeah.
So we're excited. So we're gonna choose two drinks.
Yep.
We're gonna try to attempt to make it. Maybe try to replicate it, and then you can tell us whether it tastes similar or if it's way off. Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, let's go. Try and apply to be a barista in Thirst. Okay, go ahead. Please don't tell me it's bad.
His face?
He's like, I'm trying to drink it.
It's a bit sweet.
Perfect for me.
Yep, because you put extra ingredients.
Yes, because I like it sweet.
Yep. It's okay if you prefer that way.
I think yours is going to be better.
Is it? Maybe to his taste because I follow his recipe.
Alright. This one is spot on.
See?
Of course.
You have to
This
follow
is
the
exactly
process.
what we
Okay, I
always do.
guess Kelly will get the job in Thirst.
Oh, thanks.
I'm just gonna do the show.
Yeah, I didn't realize this was an interview. So I'm hired.
You're hired. Yay!
Part-time barista at
So
Thirst.
that's it, guys. We'll see you guys at the studio. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, welcome back to H Capital with me, Balqis, with our guest today. This is Kelly Lee. She is the licensed counselor from New Health Counseling. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really excited to have you here. So you specialize in career guidance, counseling, and personal management. So today we are going to discuss about mental health in workforce and why we're not talking about it. So that's our topic for today. So first question, how common is mental illness in workplace?
I think it's more common than we imagine. I think a lot goes unreported. Roughly, I guess, more than half of the individuals in the workplace do suffer from some form of mental health condition. Yeah. So
Do you think the reason why we don't talk about it, or it's not common, well, it's common, but the reason why it's not spoken about is because that they themselves, they are not aware about it?
I think it's more like a denial.
Okay.
I think initially they don't want to face that they're having some form of issues, or they probably feel stigmatized. They stigmatize themselves, like they feel, oh, I'm all right, I don't need to see a therapist, or, I'm okay, it'll go away on its own,
Yeah.
So it's very common.
So do you feel that employees choose not to disclose mental illness to their employers? Is that one of the reasons why?
I think they don't want to tell for several reasons. I mean, it's a very personal thing, for one. And number two, they are not sure themselves as well, because they don't want to seek help initially. So they probably don't want to tell anyone yet, and because of the denial, they will not disclose it to anyone. In fact, not just their employers, but maybe even their loved ones. They're not going to tell them too.
So do you feel that is part of the reason why is probably the environment, so they feel like they're judged about it. So a lot of people's reaction is that they downplay the situation. So they feel like, oh, it's nothing. Do you feel that it affects?
Yeah, I think it's more like, they don't want to look at it until it is very severe.
That's true.
So even when they're struggling, they don't want to, nip it at the bud. They want to, wait for it to deteriorate until it gets really bad, until it's stage 4. Then they want to do something about it. And by that time, well, we call it like job burnout, for example. It's a bit too
late,
too severe.
Oh, too
right?
severe, yeah.
So I think it affects a lot of companies. It's a big HR problem actually. Work stress and also depression and a lot of family issues and also personal issues that the staff experience, but they could not deal with it themselves, and then they bring the personal issues to work.
So, well, this is my experience as a HR personnel. I have dealt with a person who has mental illness. Came to me. He disclosed that he has it, but I think he was expecting for me to kind of dismiss it. I think he was worried that. So at first he would downplay it. I think. And then after that, when he realized that I was okay, then you see him opening up more. So I think a lot of HR personnel or just employers in general, they don't know how to react when confronted with this situation. What can you kind of advise to employers? How can we help them and help react better?
Right. From a structural perspective, I mean, from the top down, I think a system needs to be in place. So, for example, larger companies, they're already doing things like, employee support systems and employee assistance program, is to help to uplift this staff mental health. But then on the personal level, like the managers and the employers, they should go for, mental health first aid training as well. So, they can be more sensitive to the needs of their employees. Although, from a capitalistic point of view, as an employer, they are always looking at the bottom line. They'll be thinking, oh, is this staff going to cause me, damages or loss in profits, things like that. So a lot of times the employer may appear to be less empathetic towards the employees' difficulties.
I think we have to start creating an open culture. You did mention that it starts from the top. So if they are empathic and they show that vulnerability is a strength, and so when people, their employees see that, they are more open to share and feel like they are accepted. I think that's part of the culture. In terms of companies, HR or managers have to be an advocate.
That's right.
I don't think there's enough support or enough people who advocate for mental illness. The first reaction, this is generalizing, of course, but first reaction would be, if someone has mental illness, like, is that going to cost the company something? Is that going to be? Is that going to affect the company rather than how's that person? So we have to kind of shift the mentality behind that.
But corporate culture is a little bit hard to shift. It takes time, and that's why a lot of psychoeducation is required. It's starting to shift. I see larger companies, they're putting in a lot of effort, to change things around, because they know that this issue will continue to rise, regardless of how the management sees it. Whether they like it or not, employees are struggling, and especially during the pandemic, it's even worse. So they see it as an issue, but then,
there are probably
steps
the resources. Do you feel that there are resources around?
To support? I believe there are resources around, but whether the companies, they want to engage and they want to, advocate this, like you said, they need to be accepting from the top. And also, I think what employees wanted is to feel that, the employer is helping them, like they want to help them. It's not, I'm against it, they don't want to feel stigmatized. So if they come out and they say, look, you know, I'm suffering from anxiety, or,
Sure.
you know, I am depressed, or I am, you know, burnt out, you know, what is the manager going to say? Are they going to say, oh, you know, you just suck it up, you know, like, well, what's the big deal? You know, everyone is going through it. You're not the only one, you know?
Being dismissive, it's a no-no.
So,
Yes,
so then the employee would feel, you know, demoralized, dehumanized, and you know, the communication cuts off from there.
Yeah.
So I think from the beginning, like I say, mental health first aid from the employer side is very important.
Yeah. So you've spoken about COVID-19 affecting mental health. How do you think COVID-19 affects mental health at the moment?
I think a lot of people are really struggling now because their routines are being affected, you know, especially working parents, right? They have to go home and, you know, deal with their kids, and then at the same time, their bosses are, you know, bugging them. That's right.
Expecting 100% all the
That's
time.
right.
And kids
so
are expecting 100%.
It's a very not conducive environment. I think a lot of employers are actually complaining that the productivity has reduced significantly when their staff are working from home.
Yeah.
You know, and also the staff, a lot of them are experiencing displacement. You know, they feel like it's so weird. You know, that they're out of their office. You know, they don't get to meet their colleagues. You know, and they don't get their work-life balance because now work and life is all in one
integrated
house.
into one.
That's right.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are struggling that way. Although there is a minority that do enjoy this arrangement.
But I think minority comes from a place of privilege. Not everybody can afford it.
That's right.
But when we talk about majority, I think it affects in a negative way. But yeah, but we'll talk about this after the break. So everybody stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back to H Capital. We are discussing about mental health in workplace. So Kelly, we want to talk about the real cause of ignoring mental health in general. What do you think about it?
Well, at the workplace, because job burnout is prevalent, so if you keep, you know, just ignoring it and just thinking that, you know, it's not going to be a big deal, it will, you know, explode one day, and you will lose your staff, you will lose good, productive staff. So in the end, the organization will crumble. So that is the main cost. And a lot of employers, they know this for a fact, but a lot of them are also cutting corners. They feel like, oh, you know, it won't happen yet. You know, I still need to make more money. So that's too bad, you know, for
Do you feel
for the
like
sake
they're
of it.
ignoring it, or are they in denial? Because I feel like they don't understand that when someone has mental health, that doesn't mean they're going to scream on top of their lungs and say, hey, boss, I have mental health, I have anxiety. I think they don't realize the how often it is. Like a lot of people that you meet, they are struggling with mental health, but they're just not comfortable enough. I think for me, part of the problem is the organization. They don't understand that it's everywhere. They feel like, oh, that's just one person. You know, it shouldn't affect the whole thing, but they don't understand that it's more than one. It's just a lot of people are masking it better.
That's right, that's right.
And like when we talk about employee engagement, it definitely, employee engagement comes from leadership, but if mental health is involved, employee engagement goes down, productivity goes down, hence the company's future is also jeopardized. I think we have to kind of put a lot of emphasis on mental health.
Yes, definitely.
Situation. Yeah.
But again, like I said at the beginning, you know, how are we going to educate the leaders, you know, so that they are aware and so that they want to take action, you know, to help their employees. Because at the meantime, they're like thinking, oh yeah, you know, it's your personal issue. Don't bring your personal issue to work.
But
they don't realize that actually work is also part of the issue, you know. So then this is something, you know, holistic. We need the employer to come in to support the staff So actually, a lot of companies, they are doing a lot of things to improve the lives of their employees. You know, they have introduced, you know, like sports program, you know, yoga, wellness, and they give a lot of perks to their employees so that they can have a more wholesome work life. You know. So these are things
I think
that
because
can
of the current situation, COVID, I think that's part of the reason why I think you're mentioning that because of COVID, their mental health is more affected because we are not allowed to have all these kind of activities you're saying, right? The connection is just not there. So
Well,
like in terms of company, I think they're focusing on one thing and it's okay, we're focusing on COVID, SOPs, so they are not really focused on mental health.
They take a back seat at the moment because now due to the pandemic. But at the same time, if let's say, you know, you have certain systems in place, so you can also do, you know, online programs, you know, like, I don't know, dance programs or, you know, yoga, whatever that is done online, whatever that we can use at the moment until, you know, this whole pandemic blows over, then, you know, things settle, you know, you can have the face-to-face programs again.
Yeah, true. I want to ask about, so when we talk about workplace, we are dealing with different generations. Do you feel that because of that, they view mental illness differently?
As in the older generation? Yes. Definitely there's a gap. If you are not familiar, the younger generation, a lot of them, they are more well-versed with mental health issues, and a lot of them actually grow up with mental health issues, you know. So for them to come into the workplace, they probably already have some pre-existing conditions, right? But they don't need to reveal it, and they don't have to, right? But again, if they come into an organization that is not supportive of their mental health, you know, it's very hard for them to reveal it or to say, you know, oh, I have anxiety or I have depression. You know, it's very common, So they don't feel supported and they feel stigmatized, so they won't come out. But in fact, there are a bunch of them and they are good workers. It doesn't mean that, oh, I have a mental illness means I can't work. That's not true.
But do you feel that the older generations have it too? Like I believe that they have it, it's just they can't recognize it. You know, I believe so. Like we have been told like older generations are stronger. They suck it out. You know, my parents, the common word would be like back then. You know, that's the word. But I think older generations, they are so used to being strong and being, you know, putting up a wall. Like I have to. They are conditioned to just work harder. So they are not. I think they're kind of, not to say numb, but I think they are not aware. The self-awareness is probably a bit low.
I think the way they handle it is different from generation to generation. There's no right and wrong to how they handle it. But the thing is, you know, how receptive they are, you know, when someone reveals that they have a condition, you know, whether they're going to be dismissive of it or like, oh, you know, it worked for me, I sucked it up, you know, I'm fine, you should be fine too.
That's the problem, I think, when they expect.
Yeah, so that culture or that way, that method of dealing with mental health conditions should stop, you know. So again, teaching empathy and, you know, helping genuinely the individual should be a priority.
Do you feel that we have it more, like the current generation or even the younger generation have it more, or is just we are more open about it? Hence why, you know, back then we don't talk about it so much. Is it because now, because of the current situation, we have it more, or is it just it's just different?
Well, I think mental illness affects everyone across the board, regardless of how old you are. You know, different people, they go through different things in life, and, you know, life happens, right? So they have different issues they deal with. Of course, maybe, you know, the older people, they don't seek help more, or they go undiagnosed, or they have different coping methods, right? So then they don't know that they have it, right? But a lot of times, I believe that the older individuals, they do struggle with some form of mental health condition as well. And a lot of times, because they struggled for so long, you know, they're used to it, and you know, it has reached stage 4.
True,
yeah.
true.
So again, you know, it has developed to an extent where it's very severe, and then, you know, if they're lucky, they just retire, and then they don't need to
deal with it.
They don't need to reveal it to an employer.
I guess so. Do you mind sharing with our viewers, like, the takeaway message, like maybe how, if they are suffering from mental health, how do they deal with it? How should they deal with it?
Right. I feel like you should just seek help. If, let's say, you have an issue, you know, even if you feel that it is not really a big deal, it's just better to be safe. You know, just check it out with your counselor or a therapist, all right? And yeah, that's what you should do. Self-care is important. You know, have a lot of exercise, sleep, and a good diet. It should really help you to improve your health in general. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you. And I hope you guys enjoy it too. And we'll see you again soon.